Alrighty, we should theoretically, possibly, potentially be going live. And if that's true, that's exciting. And if that's not true, then I am extremely sorry for all of you waiting in awkward silence. But we'll see.
Alrighty, we should
theoretically. I hear me. Shut up, me. Hello. So we are currently running the Morrsleib is full tournament, and all that entails is a challenge bracket with 3 spooky groups of factions. We have the Living Dead, Undead, Vampire Counts, Vampirates, and Tube Kings. We have the Beasts of Rage, Beastmen, Lizardmen, and Skaven. And then we have the Murderous Host, Dark Elves, Norskins, and Greenskins. You picked a faction you wanted to play with the whole time. You submitted me blind orders in which you wanted to play the factions. That way there's no counter picking. And you go play. It's just kind of some fun, maybe get people to branch out a bit, because I know as a Skaven main, I don't know anything about Beastmen, and I kind of know Lizardmen, so if I had been playing, I would have been forced to try something quite different. Adelmo of Trento, nice to see you, buddy. How's it going? And you sound way more human than I expected. You know what? I can surprise you. Where is the scorecard? Post battle, Morrsleib. Password is 321. And I want to host the game as a spectator at Ice Power, at House Plant. Games up. Morrsleib is full. Password 321. Whoops. Whoops, not 3212. I have lied. There we go, I fixed it. Now we will wait for them to show up while I fix the scorecard to no longer say someone versus Deadly Bunnies. And we will get that sorted away. Though I have no idea who's going to join in what order, so I will have to hold off on putting their names in it for a while. So you'll just get 0 and 4 with no context. All right, Houseplant is on the left. So we have Houseplant. And I can assume through my amazing powers of deduction that Ice Power TW will end up on this side. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. So I have Houseplant's submission of his blind picked factions, but I need to wait for Ice Power to tell me his before I officially say anything about that on stream. To protect Houseplant with competitive integrity. Oh, unbefitting of my Skaven heart. So, we'll wait for Ice Power to join the lobby, and we'll wait for his picks. The maps are Iron Sand Desert, Alpine Ridge, and Southern Chaos Waste, so I will find Iron Sand Desert. Perfect. Ice has not picked order yet. FYI. How's everybody doing? Late night stream for some of you, middle of the day for others. For me, it is a lovely evening. Ice Power's picked. Oh, I only asked because I just gave him mine. Didn't want him to change his order to get good matchups. Oh, well, shoot. I thought it was blind pick, you see. It is blind pick. I have his order. This is tricky. Yeah. Houseplant didn't change his order the whole tournament. He's gonna go Beastmen, Rats, and Lizards. So Beastmen, Rats, and Lizards, and Ice Power is going Dark Elves, Norska, and Greenskins. Lovely, lovely. Do I still have that set up correctly? Left screen. Yes. Yeah, here we can see the bracket. So we had some really cool players today. Artisan Tech Priest West is a friend of the channel. Cool Umbrella is a friend of the channel. Hosts a lot of his own cool tournaments. Saltier Than You is a nice dude. Jay Phoenix and Blood Penguin, both good friends. It looks like Jay Phoenix has come out on top. So on our other semifinals, we have her waiting. Ice Power defeated Tien. Certainly a tough matchup there for Tien. Ice Power is an exceptional player. And then on the bottom, we had Hayden's, who is a new player to me. I don't know if anybody else has seen them around, but new to me. And it looks like they went up against our own Houseplant, who, as we all know, is quite the deadly foe. Quite deadly indeed. And I believe they just joined RTK. And that's a welcome addition. Certainly a good player. And I need to not give Ice Power 4 free wins. I will change that to 0. And it looks like on my other screen we are loading into the game. So we have Beastmen versus Dark Elves. And why can I not change this? Stop being dumb. 0. There we go. Oh, and now it's all out of place. Oh, no. All right, fixed it. Fixed it. I don't know the Beastmen versus Dark Elf matchup at all. I'm going to be honest about that one. Neither of which are factions that I play. I know how the Beastmen play against Skaven quite well, and it's very annoying. I'm guessing Ice will have double Moranti, yeah. Double Manticore with Morathi, and that does appear to be it. With Soul Stealer as the only real spell, we have a mixture of Dread Spears and Bleak Swords, as is the average Dark Elf front line. Some Cold One Knights. Okay, 1 Cold One Knight or 2? Well, and it's all gone. Weird to see a Cold One Knight in here. I guess they are anti-large. They can duel Centaurs pretty well. Slanesh's Harvesters, and then 3 units of Dark Riders, 1 with shields, 2 Scourge Runner Chariots, no artillery, no Dark Shards, no Skirmish Cavalry. And for the Beastmen, we have a hardcore Vangor Rush from Houseplant. We have Chaos Warhounds with Poison and Centaurs, I imagine, on both flanks. Yep, identical. Gore Herds down the middle, some with shields, some without. We have an Ungore Herd on the side, probably just ran out of money. Morgur the Shadowgave, a Bray Shaman of Wilds, a Gore Bull, and some Minotaurs with great weapons for armor piercing. Very nice. I wonder if the Centaurs can fight against the Scourge Runners quite well. I think the Beastmen have a very good build here, but otherwise the only armor piercing I really see is those Minotaurs with great weapons, and they will have a very hard time catching up to those Scourge Runners. Hey, Butcherbird, how's it going? How is it going, buddy? And the battle's off, and the Dark Elves immediately start running away just to buy some time while Ice Power considers what to do. This is certainly a rapid decision-making portion. Ooh, and those Cold One Knights are taking way more damage on the charge than I thought they would. They are much more elite cav than Centaurs, but with 2 Manticores and Morathi nearby to help, I am sure that that will quickly turn in the favor of the Dark Elves. Now some Centaurs have tried to join in Gore Herds as well, but an early Soul Stealer coming down from Morathi. That is shockingly early used. Because she wasn't damaged at all. I mean, just blowing a little bit of her healing there. But I mean, between the two of us, I think Ice knows a little bit more about Dark Elves than me, so I should probably just shut my mouth. Centaurs charging into some Dread Spears, immediately regretting that and pulling back. Otherwise, the front line of the Beastmen is just desperately trying to get in combat. They definitely want to get in there and start flapping, because that is their advantage here. In the mobile game, they might be a little outclassed by the Dark Elves. Some dogs and Centaurs trying to team up to fight these Dark Riders, but the dogs unfortunately break a little too quickly. Now, as I did mention, the front line is going very poorly for the Dark Elves. But that's not really what they came to do. They came here to run all over the Beastmen. This does not seem good. Butcherbird, I believe you are speaking of the Beastmen and doubting their capabilities. In which, sir, I would say, have faith! Have faith in the Chaos Gods. They would not abandon the Beastmen. Oh wait, they abandon the Beastmen all the time. Alright. Gorbull getting flung around. Oh, poor guy. Just trying to get back on his feet as another Soul Stealer came in nicely here, doing a lot of damage to all these units. And the Minotaurs with great weapons are just wrecked. Oh no, they are mostly dead already. As one Summon of Chaos spawn comes in, I believe that was the optional one that you can actually pick. I don't think the random one has come in yet, as those Cold One Knights are extremely damaged. I'm kind of surprised they haven't turned into a Chaos spawn. One Manticore is routed as Gorbull slaps it down. Ooh. Yeah, that is some good damage over there. Dark Riders chasing off some Gore Herds, and a nice Bray Scream coming in to do some damage to these Dread Spears. Bray Shaman of Wilds and Morgur running around. I would be a little concerned getting this far from your Infantry Corps, as it's your only advantage in this matchup. Definitely don't want to get isolated and run down. Over here, Dark Riders fighting Centaurs, and it's about a 1-to-1 trade. I think the Centaurs are getting a little better of it, and the Scourge Runners are here to help, but with some dogs coming in, the Scourge Runners are starting to think better of it and running away a little bit. But yeah, Beastmen have the superior infantry for once in their lives, and that is about all they have. Now, unfortunately, these Chaos Spawn are going to run out of time on this Earth and just perish to themselves, which is not great. Butcherbird, I'm not doubting their capabilities, but Houseplant got 2 Centaurs killed in the first 30 seconds, and you weren't in the mood to play. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, the bounce power is a little Dark Elf favored, but I think the state of the map is much more in their favor as they own everything that's not the central pocket, and they can easily start cycle charging, especially with 2 heavily armored chariots. Now, Gorbel is trying to get on these chariots, and what do they have? 84 speed, he has 64? I was surprised he even got that close, honestly. The Chaos Spawn have faded away, and with that, the balance of power took a big hit against the Beastmen. Now, some Centaurs have rallied, and if they can turn around and charge these Dark Riders, maybe they can break them, as they are slightly better combatants. But, unfortunately for Houseplant and the Beastmen, losing the mobile advantage is very bad for them, as they are a speed-based faction rather than stopping power or leadership, and now they're just going to get cycle charged around. But some good spell usages by Houseplant. All game has been casting them dangerously close to his foes without actually landing on them. And I believe that's a Doombolt coming in from Wrathy. That Manticore barely dodged it. That would have been some rather tricky friendly fire, maybe even rampaged it into this force. Any Dark Elf chaff that is sacrificed to this Beastman horde is very quickly dying. And, oh no, Houseplant's entire army at this point is going to get hit with that Soul Stealer. That's going to be a very painful one, especially with Gorbel getting this low on health. He is probably going to break off, and once he leaves this little circle of leadership, he is not coming back. Ice Power is a good enough player to make sure that that does not happen. You can see the balance of power is massively in favor of the Dark Elves now, and it might be the point of no return for the sad Beastmen. But they will be sad for very, very short amounts of time, my friends, as there's a DLC coming out about 2 weeks from now, and they're going to be the new OP faction. You heard it here probably 8th, but you did hear it here. Queek password when? When I'm dead. Okay, I have a message from Anticity. Hey, do you know if the Guardian bug still exists in the game? My run has units with Guardian, and I can't stack or not. So it's just, I have no idea. I haven't heard it's patched yet. Okay. When Anticity sends you a DM, you do not ignore him, all right? You get to it, you help that man, because he is a treasure. We have Alpine Ridge for Game 2, and Houseplant has Skaven. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one if they want to go with Warp Lightning Cannons and such, but if you want to use mostly weapon teams like Jezzails have medium-long range, so if you put them at the back of your formation, the range won't even extend over the hill, so effectively you're not losing any range there. Butcherbird saying, you think the Guardian bug is still in. GG says Hank Cyrus. Hank Cyrus, I think I saw you over on Ice Power's stream a little bit ago. Are you hopping back and forth? Because I popped in to see him fighting Tien for a bit. Just because, I mean, I was bored. I was waiting for my stream to start. Second game, maps set. What is Ice Power's second faction? It's Norska, right? Yeah, it's Norska. Dark Elves, Norska, Greenskins. It's Norska versus Skaven. A bad matchup for the Skaven, but of the 3 rushers, Chaos, Norska, and Beastmen, I think Norska is the easiest to deal with. Now, usually how I deal with them involves 2 Warp Lightning Cannons. For finals, could you let us know the map order before we pick faction order? I will, but I did here too. Houseplant just has a little bit of a question here, but in general, I did say Ice and Houseplant send me orders with the maps in mind of Iron Sand Desert, Alpine Ridge, and Southern Chaos Wastes. It's in general. Sorry, buddy. Yep, because Skaven don't like this matchup, so if he felt he didn't know the map before he picked his matchup, that would be quite bad for him, so that's unfortunate, but I did post them. I posted them ahead of time. Let ye 10 watchers know that I am no cheat. I am no scoundrel. I am simply a charlatan and a rogue. And a piece of shit. But I am no cheat. Anticity, I did a quick test and it seems like it's not stacking, but nowhere near conclusive yet. Butcherbird says you're a liar. Need to check because I can't remove Guardian off the guy. Alright. I'll deal with that a little later. Uh-oh. Yeah, I see now. Okay. Poor houseplant. Poor houseplant. Though, again, it's still doable here. Warp lightning cannons will have half their effective range, which is unfortunate, but there are Jezzail ways to play. You could bring double Hell Pit. You could bring Doom Wheels, but it's risky. It's really risky. I find they get absolutely wrecked by Marauder Cavalry. Even the basic Javelin kind, you know, not the Throwing Axes, not the Horse Masters, just basic Marauder Horsemen do really well against Doom Wheels for some reason. I think it's their hitbox is just so big that their armor isn't enough, because they have 100 armor, but if you get 50 Javelins to the face, it won't matter. Skinwolves do okay there, but we'll see. Dogs and Rat Ogres and Spears can be good. Maybe some Rattling Guns to deal with whatever Lord they bring. Because unless they bring Wolfric on foot, he's still going to be stream. Sorry, Anticity's mad at Butcherbird now because I've started some shit. He said Guardian still bugged. I'm just being exaggerative. All right. There you go, Butcherbird. I've made an enemy out of Anticity for you. You're very welcome. Also, the scorecards are not updated. We have Mr. Ice Power with a point. 1. No, stop moving around. The streaming software is nice sometimes, but sometimes it thinks it's a little too smart for its own good, and it thinks it knows where everything should go. So for these armies, I see something from Houseplant over there that is very Houseplant, but we'll get to that. We have Windwolves, 1, 2, only 2, which is kind of surprising from a Norskin. The Miststalkers from Real Warriors, very good. A mixed front line of Marauders and Berserkers, very good as well. Marauder Horsemen, and the Beasts of Tashnar with a Firecaster. Now this I've actually seen go out of vogue from Norskin mains, is Wolfric on his Mammoth in the Skaven matchup is more of a giant target than he's worth. He can easily get shot by Rattling Guns, and it can be a real problem for him. Guess won't be one of Ent's mods anymore. Yeah, Butcherbird, you're fired, dude. Houseplant is a little close to the corner here. House close. Well, it started. Okay. We'll deal with that when we deal with that. Gracier of Plague on his bell with the Dreaded 13th and Vermintide. The Chieftain on the Bonebreaker I've seen Houseplant take in almost every Skaven build he has. He really loves that thing. An Assassin to accompany him just to debuff some Lords. We have 2 Dogs with Poison, 2 Rat Ogres as well. They could Zap to reset cooldowns on the Lord, 2 Gutter Runners with Poison to stay inside the formation and skirmish outwards, and 2 Poison Wind Globes. Other than that, we have Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats throughout. Wait, what? Little close to the edge. Skaven must advance. Okay. I think Ice is questioning that too. Okay. Yeah, so the white line stuff, you mostly just can't camp at the side, but if you are notably advancing, it's fine. Now, if he stops and shoots too close to the white line, that's going to be a problem, because especially as Norska, you need to do a lot of flanking, and if you're flanking in an area that if you rout, your dogs are just going to go poop right off the map, that's not great. And if the map's too small, yeah, if the map's too small, like Troll Country or something, it can't be avoided, but on this map, I mean, like, technically you could deploy in all this space. So opting to be so close to the white line is a little questionable. Now, I understand what Houseplant was doing. He wanted to be here in case there was a Vanguard and he could immediately chase it off, and that makes sense. But the rest of your formation should probably be a little closer in line. But as long as he doesn't have an issue with Ice not technically obeying the attacking rules while he moves out, that's okay. It's a bit sticky, but it's okay. So the Skaven are just advancing out of the corner a little bit. Should be fine. Should be fine now. Okay. Because now there's a decent amount of room here, especially if the dogs can run in these trees and stay out of the line of sight. Hell yeah, they can even be invisible in there. As long as Houseplant doesn't, you know, move his line over here again and block off the sides. But now the Norskins are going to start advancing, and a fireball being cast probably on Ikit's Zap Zap. Going to try to take out one of the models. Though with them turned sideways like this, I wonder if that fireball is going to hit. And it does, and it takes out one of the models. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Kind of surprised Ice knows how to use a spell that isn't Soul Stealer. A man of many talents. So, Ikit Zap Zap firing off into Wulfric. Now, Ikit Zap Zap will do a little bit of damage to him, to be sure, but the main thing I think Houseplant is using it for, if I can get it down there, is the Zap. Plus 10 ability recharge. So as long as he just keeps it on Wulfric the whole game, Wulfric will not be able to use Seafang, Wulfric will not be able to use Standard Die, or anything like that. So it's mostly just making him a full melee lord, which is not what he wants to be. Over here, some wolf rats are advancing a little bit to try to counter skirmish with these horsemen, but I do think they will take more damage than it's worth. And it looks like they got orders to attack Wulfric, but I don't know about that one. They are extremely cowardly and are going to rout very quickly. You can see already their leadership is -10, and they are terror routing just on the sight of it. So that's going to be a tough start for the Skaven, but this game is far from over, as the Poison Wind Globediers have just started teeing off into the Norscan infantry, and they are taking a pounding. But speaking of a pounding, one unit of clan rats is immediately deleted by an overcasted Burning Head, and Wulfric is running into this front line. I do believe these rat ogres need to come up, surround him, and hold him in place while his gutter runners and Zap Zap do the work. The chieftain on the Bonebreaker does need to also get involved. He might be a good duelist versus Wulfric, because Wulfric is anti-infantry. The Grey Seer of Plague should stay as far away from that man as possible. Skinwolves fighting rat ogres, that is a good trade for the Skinwolves in isolation, but since it's a 2v1 in the middle of a bunch of Skaven infantry, they will very quickly rout off and die. Gutter runners with poison doing excellent work against these Skinwolves on the flank. But will it be enough, as the Norskins are creeping in on both the flanks a little bit, and Wulfric has added his considerable might to the middle, terrifying off one group of rat ogres and rallying these Skinwolves for just a moment, but it looks like they might just break. And now Wulfric's not going to want to be here with a chieftain, an assassin, and some rat ogres. That is too much for him to take, and he will slowly waddle his way to safety. Windwolves getting on top of some gutter runners with poison here, and the Miststalkers and Skirmish Cav have returned from the ether to help Ice Power in his time of need. Over here, Skaven Slave Spears chasing off a shattered unit of Marauders, and it looks like both front lines are just gone. They are much worse for wear. They're all dead. So we're down to the real carries of this game. Poison Wind, Skirmish, Ikit Zap Zap versus a whole bunch of monsters. Just monsters. Wulfric coming in on the side of this chieftain, going to try to hit him in the back. And chieftain's only have 60 leadership, so he does have to be careful of this, and he's not immune to terror either. So he might terror out off. But the Grey Seer and the Assassin are nearby. Maybe can come lend some support to him as he goes crawling home, wondering where are all of his friends. In the backfield, Norska is completely dominating as the Beasts of Tashnar get on top of the Gutter Runners, who are running out of places to go. I think they have skirmish mode on, and they are not looking where they're going, just simply running to their doom. Here are some valiant clan rats trying to break these Skinwolves, but they do rally at the last moment and start to devour some Skaven corpses. Wulfric, realizing this is a losing battle, just decides to leave his Famir and Berserkers to their fate. On this end, we have some rampaging Berserkers running off in the middle of nowhere, but they come to their sentences, and they might come over now. Ikit Zap Zap is fully offline. It looks like all 3 artillery pieces got destroyed by fireballs. Beasts of Tashnar have secured the corner, and hey, those clan rats did beat those Skinwolves. Would you look at that? It's the little miracles. Over here, we have the Assassin using Rival Hide Talisman on everyone around him. Very nice play. And Wulfric's just biding his time and waiting. Now, good use of the Skirmish Cav here. I like seeing Marauder Horsemen because they can do well against almost anything on the Skaven roster. You actually don't even need Horse Masters or Throwing Axes because nothing's armored enough for you to care. Besides maybe Doom Wheels. Ice Power saying GG well played, and as I look at the balance of power, I see what he's talking about now. Skaven do have a lot of things left on the battlefield, but they're not very good things. Wulfric being at half health is going to be quite tricky for Houseplant. and the assassin is not quite a match for an entire mammoth. As he takes a good clubbing out of the Gracier of Plague, and the Chieftain of Bonebreaker is taking a massive fireball that is going to drag him below negative leadership, and he should be escorted off just fine. With that, we can see all the Skaven leadership bars starting to waver a little bit, and that will be army losses, as one last Clan Rat summon comes in just to confuse the game, but it is GG, and Ice Power will not be stopped on his quest to domination. So we have Ikid Zap Zap getting 242 value. Unfortunately, those fireballs were a little too much for it. Rat Ogre's doing okay. Really, the Gutter Runners with Poison doing a lot of work here, and these Poison win. Very nice. I don't use Gutter Runners with Poison as much as I should, but Houseplant has been showing me how useful they can be in multiple matchups. Certainly well played by him. It is Norska is picked into Skaven a lot, so it is a counter matchup, and Ice Power is quite a deadly player, so that 1-2 punch does seem to have knocked him down. Berserker's performing okay, but otherwise the front line just dying horribly. Skinwolves and Beasts of Tashnar doing well, but mostly Wulfric and his buddy, the Shaman, carried that to victory. No idea. Okay. But I thought you were a Queek fanboy, or are you mad because Queek would call you old? Queek would call me old, Cyrus. He would. And I would accept it, because to him I am ancient. BBB Cool Umbrella, I will carry the... So Saltier Than You has defeated BBB Cool Umbrella on the top bracket. And we will get Jay Phoenix and Salty in here. And... join my lobby. Morrsleib is full. Password 321. Okay, I need to decide on some maps so that these people can make their faction picks. Langui is always good. It is very good. Langui. And then I want something with terrain. We'll go Langui, Toothgrass Hill, Oakenhammer. And Jay is currently dancing in the lobby. Langui. Toothgrass. I love Toothgrass Hill. And Oakenhammer. I'll cut that out of Discord. I'll just put it here. Send me blind pics with that in mind. Okay. Cairn Woods from Butcherbird. I don't know if Cairn Woods is a great map. I think you might be trolling me a little bit. But we will see what their blind picks are. So it looks like Saltier Than You and Jay Phoenix are both playing the Beasts of Rage. So we're going to have Skaven, Lizardmen, and Beastmen in 2 orders, and I really hope that they're not mirrors. All right, Jay Phoenix has sent me their order, and I will not announce that as I really, really want to. Butcherbird saying I am boring, and Butcherbird, you have never been more right about anything in your entire... Hey, look at me. Look at me. You've never been more right about anything in your entire life. I am a boring son of a gun. So we're going to wait on Saltier Than You's picks. I'm going to check on the challenge screen, and it looks like Ice Power has not entered the scores just yet, so I will enter them on his behalf and advance him to the finals. Saltier, blind picks. Okay, interesting. So, Salty is Beastmen, Lizardmen, Skaven. Yep, okay, I have that right, because I had to make sure. J is Skaven, Beastman, Lizard. All right, both the players know what they're doing, and we will be off. So, game 1, Beastmen versus Skaven. Beastmen favored, tough for Jay. Game 2, Lizardmen versus Beastmen. Very tough for Beastmen. So Jay Phoenix is definitely starting with an uphill climb here. It's actually quite a good map. I wasn't trolling it seriously, my favorite map. You don't have face cook. came on. How can I look at you? It occurred to me that Beast of Rage is not balanced versus Beast of Rage. You know what, Butcherbird? You're right. You're right. I should have thought about mirror matches before I made a fun, different, and interesting tournament. I should have done a regular tournament like all the cool streamers. No. I don't know. When both players are playing with the same tools, counters are counters, and it's like, I mean, it easily could have gone the other way. And I first pick Skaven, and I don't ban Beastmen because I have other things to ban. I play Beastmen all the time. I win against them maybe 45% of the time. Jay's an excellent player, so I'm sure she has a good plan for how to deal with this. Beastmen versus Lizardmen, I don't play that faction very much, but I have heard objectively that one is hot garbage. And then the last match, Skaven versus Lizardmen, is also salty favored. But I've lost to Lizardmen and Skaven before. And I actually won with Lizardmen against Skaven earlier today. And I also lost earlier today. So, 1 for 1. But I have this fun build I like where I take the Arwar Dread Saurian, the Kroxigor Ancient, yep, him, and then the Saurus Scar Veteran. And you take all three of them, because the Arwar Dread Saurian has a -8 leadership aura. And then it causes Fear, which is another -8, I believe. Kroxigor Ancient has a -8 aura, and so does the Saurus Scar Vet. So you just sprint at the Skaven front line with like -36 leadership in this blob, and then you cause terror, and you literally just walk through their Skaven slave line and immediately get onto their guns, and then you have feral Cold Ones and Cold One Riders right behind them to actually deal with the guns, and it's very funny. It's very funny. So, it's a fun build. If they bring like 4 Rattling guns and just all shoot the Shredder of Lustria, it can be a little tough. If they take the Council Guard guarding like a bunch of Kite, it can be pretty tough. But if you're dealing with a very standard Skaven build, you can just smash right through their front line. And it's literally as soon as you walk up to them and get one attack off, all the Skaven slaves just run. It's really funny. This has nothing to do... This is nothing on the Charybdis Malice combo with the Lore of Death. Is that a real thing, Tiago? It doesn't feel like a real thing. Please forgive me for being a sweat. I just want to versus ice. It appears saltier than you has some beef to pick with ice. That actually does bring up a good question that Tiago sort of raised. Probably memeing, but what is the purpose of the Charybdis? Because how is it better than the Hydra? Because it doesn't heal, right? It doesn't heal, it doesn't have a breath attack. I guess it's anti-large, but I haven't ever seen the Hydra struggle in duel. I don't know. I just don't see what the Charybdis brings to the table. I mean, if it brings something, I would love to take it. I always love taking off-meta monsters and just trying to surprise people. AKA the ROR Shredder of Lustria just for the leadership debuff. But soon I can do -20 leadership and terror with the Malagor double Manticore combo. Yeah, you can fight Marathi double Manticore in the sky and it'll be glorious. So, for the Skaven of J Phoenix, what do we have? Everything's moving around. We'll get back to that. Beastmen of Saltier Than You. We have Chaos Warhounds. No poison, just normal dogs. Yeah, both of them. We have 4 Centaurs, it looks like. Indeed. A Chaos Spawn? No, 2 Minotaurs with shields. Very interesting. Normally in this matchup you see Chaos Spawn because they can't break, and you don't really need the armor piercing from the Minotaurs. It's a little overkill, and the Skaven slaves are going to slam into. Morgar the Shadowgave, Bray Shaman of Wilds with a Cygor summon, and what was that? Viletide? The tentacle one. Stop showing me that one. Yeah, it's Viletide. Viletide just for some chaff clearing. A lot of chaff with Ungor Spearmen and Ungor Herds in the front. 4 Ungor Raiders. No, only 3. This is a very interesting build from Salty. Not at all what I expected versus Skaven. Usually we want more Archers and more Unbreakable. For Jay Phoenix, we have double Brood Horror. Been a while since you've seen that. Double Assassin as well, making it easy to announce what's going on. A Gracier of Bell with Vermintide and the dreaded 13th, so double summons from them. 2 Storm Vermin with Halberds. No Council Guard. Okay. No Council Guard, even though you brought those Storm Vermin with Halberds. A bunch of Skaven Slaves and Spears. Clan Rats with Spears. 2 Poison Wind Globes. And a very interesting army from Jay. A tight box indeed. The very fast Brood Horrors will have to be mobile terror assets, but try not to get caught out too badly by Centaurs. If there were more throwing axes, they'd be in trouble, but since there's not, they'll largely be okay as long as they stay away from the Archers. The Poison Wind concerns me a little bit, because Jay is going to have to be extremely careful not to bomb the crap out of Storm Vermin. Minos have shields, so slings don't hurt as much. That is true, Butcherbird. The Minotaurs do have shields. I still think they're a little overkill for what you're going to run into, but you would know better than me. I played Beastmen probably about 4 times as a joke. Oh, and we have Warp Grinders in the back. Very nice unit. A good AoE snare on a short cooldown that doesn't cost Winds of Magic. Very nice. So, early trades, as the Beastmen realize there's a Warp Lightning Cannon there, and they will have to advance cautiously. Jay moving up the box to fulfill attacking rules since her targets moved out of sight. The double Brood Horror, I believe they're hidden right here. Yep, they're hidden. So Beastmen don't quite know there are terrifying giant monster rats waiting for them in the forests. Salty does love Minotaurs. So Jay's taken a nice position through which the Warp Lightning Cannon can fire over at this massive Beastman horde, and it looks like the Beastmen are stalled out for a little bit. Wondering if they're going to get moving. All right, looks like they are moving. I was worried for a second I was going to have to be like, Beastmen have to attack, please. I don't want to do another rules thing. Benji Briggs saying, sup. Butcherbird preferring the Minos. Then again, I do not love Spawn. Butcherbird. What's wrong with Spawn? Spawn are good kids, just looking for a nice school system. One with a hot lunch plan. I don't know. I don't know what Chaos Spawn want these days. I lost track of the kids. The kids and the youth. Assassins joining the Brood Horrors, so there's just 4 single entities waiting in these trees to pop out. And it would be a nice play to have them run out here right about when the front line hits and then just bomb them with the Poison Wind, because the Poison Wind won't do much damage to your own single entities and it'll wreck all the infantry around you. Plus, the Terror monsters will take care of them quite easily after that leadership debuff falls. Now I see attack orders for all 4 units onto Morgr, but it looks like they're going to back off. That might have been a little overambitious. Maybe as some of the Ungor Raiders came out of their stealth, Jay thought better of that. The scorecard still says Ice Power 1. Well, that's because I'm an idiot. I guess I'll go fix that instead of doing anything else. Alright, so what I can see from this exact position, we have the Beastmen front line finally coming into contact with Poison Wind Globes, and the Brood Horrors have retreated into the formation for now just to avoid a little bit of that arrow fire. I have a cat currently brushing up against my face, which is making this very easy to cast and type at the same time. So the front line of the Beastmen's taking a lot of damage, as we would all expect on the advance, but it doesn't really matter the damage they take on the advance, it matters the damage they take afterwards, because they do get that little charge bonus leadership that'll keep them from breaking right away. Alright, we have fixed the scorecard, and now I can move the camera around. Alright, so we have Warp Grinders in the back, locking down and doing damage to these dogs, and the dogs immediately start to run away. Very nice play there, as some Clan Rats and Spears do come out of position to try to chase the dogs, but that leaves them open to Centaurs. And a massive cavalry engagement in the back by the Beastmen, but soon to be hit with a dreaded 13th that does half damage for both the Centaurs, and now they're surrounded by Halberds. The front line is actually going quite well for the Skaven. They're largely holding their ground, and double assassins are ganging up on Morgr the Shadowgrave and doing excellent damage there. One Chaos Spawn summon has come down and already been eviscerated by the Storm Vermin Halberds that they were summoned into. Double Brood Horrors are taking over the backfield of any unit that routed off, or the Archers are just getting blasted. The Bray Shaman of Wilds is absolutely getting drilled by Ikit Zap Zap, and the longer it keeps hitting him, as we saw earlier, his abilities will always be on cooldown, so even if he rallies, he might have a hard time getting his spell out. Poisonwind Globes turning around and throwing into their summoned Stormvermin of Halberds. They don't give a single shit about them because they will disintegrate anyway. Warp Grinders and Clan Rats having a hard time staying in the fight. Unholy Clamor kept them around for a little bit, but not long enough. An excellent free cast of the Scorch here, coming down that entire line and just absolutely putting work on him. This Brood Horror is going to try to chase down Spray Shaman of Wild, while the other one considers coming back, but instead just wastes one of its free rallies beforehand. Some Centaurs have rallied in the back, and they might have to get pulled in here to fight, but it looks like the Skaven do have a good handle on this game so far. Warp Lightning Cannon still trying to make sure that Bray Shaman doesn't come back, but they both hit the Brood Horror in the butt. Here we have some Minotaurs teaming up on the Assassins. The Assassins maybe could turn and fight this, but they don't want to take that chance. Instead, will retreat, try to get some Poison Wind cover. Chaos Spawn and Minotaurs are trying to get on top of these Poison Wind Globes, but they are having a tough time of it, as these two Stormvermin with Halberds have been very clutch. Very clutch indeed. This is Greyseer of Plague just sitting back. It looks like the Raiders have finally gotten a little more involved and they're shooting on top of the Greyseer, but he does have a lot of armor and some decent missile resist. What do we have left in here? An Assassin is getting on top of Morgur. That's very good for the Skaven. And yeah, Beastmen have kind of broken into the Skaven lines here a bit. So maybe they can surround that position, but I think it might be a little bit too little too late, and especially with Morgur going down to an Assassin on the side over here, that's going to just total off the leadership on these poor, beleaguered Beastmen. And a rear charge from a Brood Horror does not help that situation. In the far corner, we see a Brood Horror easily sweeping up the remnants of what's over there, and these Centaurs are being surprisingly brave right now, considering how low on health they are and low on leadership. They do go negative at the last second, and that Brood Horror barely rallies. And with that, army losses is going to start to kick in for the Beastmen, and that will be GG. That is an excellent Skaven build from J Phoenix, and very well played. Very well played indeed. And Salty, again, the Minotaur is the only thing different than standard. Otherwise, this is a pretty standard build, so nothing really wrong with the build there. Ungor Raiders are quite good against Rat Ogres, if there had been any, which they weren't. Morgur is a good lord. Wilds is a good cast. Yeah. It's a pretty standard build overall, except for the Minotaurs, but it appears J Phoenix was quite ready for this matchup and just came very prepared. One of those Assassins got 1,700 value. Very nice. GG. Alright, what do we have here? We have Lizardmen versus Beastmen. GG indeed. What the heck did I say the second map was? Toothgrass. Got it. Got it. Now this, it's probably not going to be interesting because nothing's ever interesting, unfortunately. But it might be interesting since neither of these factions really wants to sit back and shoot. They both might actually fight over the hill, which would be very exciting. Indeed. But Jay's build is very nice. The Stormvermin with Halberds, I swear I've tried them, and I swear it didn't work. But that just made them look so good. I don't know. That game just made them look so good. Makes me want to go play Stormvermin right now. Oh well. One for J Phoenix, and now that we're not in the middle of a game, I can center these a little bit better. And saltier than you. And the zero's a little bit outside the box, so we're just going to say saltier. We'll just go saltier. That's fine. J Phoenix versus Saltier. Beastmen have a very tough time versus Lizardmen. I would not be surprised if this went to game 3. It won't be interesting. You are boring. True. Big true. Yeah. No, I know you meant Jay's. You meant Salty's build. I know that. Oh, I remembered. I remember what took out my Stormvermin. It was Centaurs with throwing axes. That, if there were some Centaurs with throwing axes, now that is an abysmal time to be a Stormvermin without a friggin' shield. You go down real fast. And then with Chaos Spawn in front of them, Storm Vermin with Halberds are not ITP, so they still take the fear debuff of leadership. They don't have high leadership in the first place. So a lot of them just route off, and then if anything routes in the Beastman matchup, it's not coming back. Like, even though Jay won that game, you could see that the box got torn apart, and then just, like, no reinforcements ever came because they didn't make it. As soon as they left the box, the Beastmen tore them apart. So, still surprised not to see the Council Guard there. I mean, if you're going to bring the Stormburn with Halberds anyway, you might as well get the better stats than the Unbreakable for just 250 more gold, but... Beastmen can beat Lizardmen? It's not that bad in your opinion? Now that would be the first time I've heard that opinion, Butcher, so I would be very interested, now that the builds are solidified, I would be interested to hear what you would take for dealing with the big dinos. Is it just some Centaurs with throwing axes, or what? Alright, yeah. Because now even if Jay was stream sniping, which I very strongly doubt they would do, they can't change the build at this point. And we're loading into Game 2 of the second semifinal, and whoever wins this semifinal will go off to face Ice Power. Ice Power Total War, a very good player, and has the beloved Dark Elves and Greenskins in his 3 factions. Butcherbird saying 4 Bestigors, some TAs. I will try to figure that out soon. Malagor, Gorbel, Spears. Some TAs. Tuskor, no, that doesn't make any sense. TAs. I can't keep up with your lingo and your acronyms. I don't know what a TA is besides like a teaching assistant, but I very strongly doubt you mean that. Alright, for Saltier Than You, we have what looks to be a very meta Lizardman build. Lord Mazdamundi on Slack, 1 Bastiladon Solar Engine, a couple Pterodons that are moving around, so there's probably more than 2. Nope, just 2, but there are 2 Bastiladons with solar engines, some Saurus Spears with shields, Saurus Warriors with shields, there's a cat back on my lap, and some Skinks with javelins. Throwing axes. Ah, yes, throwing axes would be very good here. For the Beastmen of J Phoenix, we have 2 Centaurs, Chaos Warhounds with poison, probably on both flanks. Yep, on both flanks. We have 2 units of Harpies in the sky to try to deal with those Pterodon Riders. We have Gore Herds and Ungore Herds mixed through the fronts with Blackhorns Ravagers. In the middle, we have double Gorbel and Malagor, the Dark Omen with a Cygor summon, Traitorkin, and whatever this is. Bray Scream. Got it. Surprised to see no archers out of the Beastmen. Archers can be quite good. I wonder what Jay's plan would be if there were Chameleon Skinks running around. Maybe just running them down with the Cav, but that could prove difficult if they pull in and out of their formation. But they are not here, so Jay does not have to worry about that. Pterodon's moving over. Because the Cav component has no ranged, they can abuse them at will, though they do have to watch out for Harpies. In fact, the Beastmen have no range, so if somehow the Lizardmen can deal with those Harpies, they will rule the skies and nothing can threaten the Pterodons. Certainly a frightening prospect. So Jay pulling back with 1 flank that could be harassed by the Pterodon Riders, but advancing heavily on the other one that is currently unthreatened, getting into position. Salty might want to get these Bastiladons with solar engines firing, maybe into these currently very clumped up Centaurs. It could rip through them and hit multiple at a time. You never know, but it looks like both lines are just trying to set up. In the infantry game, I think the Lizardmen have a strong advantage. Saurus are just exemplary world beaters. They fight way above their weight class, and they would love to get into a scrap with any of those Gores. Now, Pterodons taking the melee against Harpies is not going well for them. Oh, boy. Oh, and the Bastiladon with the solar engine just puts 2 out of their misery. Oh no, the massive friendly fire there. And the Harpies are going to keep advancing, pushing these Pterodons off. Now, thankfully, with some Skink Javelin support, they might get pushed away, and these guys could rally with most of their ammo, but it is looking a little dicey. Over here, this solar engine is turning to fire on these Beastmen troops, but missing its first shot. Classic solar engines, and the Harpies did get past the front line. It looks like they will succeed in chasing these Pterodon Riders off the map. These other Harpies, on the other hand, are taking quite a beating, and they have not quite caught their Pterodon foes. A nice Vile Tide coming in there, doing about 1/5 of the damage on those Saurus Warriors. which is quite good. Now, Harpies are getting really low in leadership, awfully close to the map for what seems like no reason, but thankfully for Jay, they do rally as a solar engine shot rips through and does more damage to the trees than the Harpies, but will they Oh no, they rout, and they're super close to the edge of the map. I think they might just run off. Over here, some other Harpies have also been routed, so if those Pterodons can follow them, make sure they shatter, then maybe Salty will own the skies. Are these Harpies going to rally? They should. There's nothing near them. They've had plenty of time, but they will not, and they are gone. Very unfortunate there for the Beastmen, but what is fortunate for the Beastmen is this frontline engagement so far. A rear charge of Centaurs onto the Saurus Warriors, and these skinks are already crumbling away. Now, some of their Centaurs have taken a pounding on the advance from the Bastillon Solar Engine, getting another nice shot in there, and Mazdamundi fighting a Gorbel. You would think that that is bad for the Gorbel, but Mazdamundi is quite the trooper. But we have a Cygor summon coming in behind him, trying to trap him in here and do some good damage. That skink cohort with javelins have routed off, and now the right flank belongs to the Beastmen. They can run right through here. The only problem is there's nothing in this middle circle that they can attack. There's no archers, there's no cannons, nothing, so it's their choice between fighting a big dinosaur or a bunch of smaller dinosaurs with clubs. Over here, Centaur is getting shot in the back by the solar engines that are trying to free Lord Mazdamundi, who has taken a lot of damage from the double Gorbel and the Cygor. The front line for the Lizardmen is evaporating from the very nice cycle charging and rear charging from the Beastmen. The Beastmen are using their mobility to full advantage here. Mazdamundi is pulling through the front to try to get away from these Gorbels who now dominate the back. So the front lines have sort of switched sides as a massive core comes in here just trying to break off more of these Saurus Warriors and escort them off the map. Jay's entire plan does seem to be route one thing, chase it until it's dead, route another. Mazdamundi casting a massive net, maybe to let himself get out of here and walk away. The Cygor's going to walk in all confidently just before it gets netted for walking into the circle. Over here we have Saurus Spears dealing quite well with... Oh my god, it just shot Mazdamundi again. Whose team are you on? Dude, come on, get in it. Whatever. Saurus Spears doing well against Gore Herds, but Mazdamundi giving that a rear charge will infinitely skew that matchup against the Beastmen. Here, Saurus Warriors are fighting to the last against everything they can get their hands on, and the Cygor summon will disappear soon, certainly bringing the balance of power back to normal. But I do believe the Beastmen have a significant advantage here, as the double Gorbels were on top of Mazdamundi for a second, but with Saurus Spears pulling up, Jay decides that it's not a fight he wants to take just yet. Bastillon with Solar Engine still firing into these mobile elements and actually doing a lot of damage to them over time. If it's not busy shooting its own troops, it actually is doing a good job. Mazdamundi over here, I was just going to say I haven't seen it in Ruination of Cities, and there one is, doing some damage to Centaurs. Maybe would have liked to see it here, but I think Saltier Than You was worried that one of the random arrows would go that way and damage a lot of his precious Saurus, and he certainly doesn't have units to throw away right now. These Pterodons do need to be rallied and dragged back into combat. They are critical to this mission, and I believe they still have their rock drops, which could be very helpful here. Another Vile Tide coming down, hitting these Saurus with shields very nicely, doing good damage, but this Gorbel managed to waddle his way to freedom, and that freedom involves a giant dinosaur ramming him in the face with massive horns. This Bastillon of Solar Engines is trapped up, but the Beastmen infantry here have very little armor piercing to deal with it. Mazdamundi is getting worked on by double Gorbel, and I really hope those Pterodons get rallied over here because they could be shooting and poisoning the Gorbels this whole time, lowering their leadership, doing a ton of damage, etc., etc. This Bastillon with Solar Engine has been doing excellently. Very low on ammo from... Oh my... Every time I look at you, you fail me. Why? Whatever. Anyway, Lord Mazdamundi running around in circles. Probably needs to cast some healing on himself, but with only Apotheosis, that is going to be a slow task. This Bastillon with Solar Engines is winning in melee combat while being helped by Saurus, so that's very good for them, and Mazdamundi is trying to push through the front line. Maybe these spears need to turn and help him out. But if he falls below 0 leadership, this is probably going to be GG for the Lizardmen. But he does manage to rally because he's Mazdamundi, and he don't need nobody. This Bastillon with Solar Engines is charging in, and they're going to try to sandwich all these hero cores and just slow them down for a moment. Mazdamundi does go to -16 and will finally break. He should be escorted off, and those poor Pterodons really need to come back. We need their rock drops. We need their poison poke. It's a shame that they have been lost and forgotten in the ether. This Bastillon with the Solar Engine point-blank firing on the Gorbel. They don't know what team they're on, but man, they're doing damage this game. And this Gorbel has chased down Mazdamundi and killed him. Though I imagine he probably just teleported back to Hexawaddle like the dirty hacker cheater he is. This Bastillon with Solar Engine is not enjoying being surrounded, and its leadership is showing that despite the fact that its health is perfectly fine. This other one is also perfectly fine on health. Have the pterodons are back. The eagles are coming, Gandalf. The eagles are coming. The scaly, terrifying, leather-winged eagles. But it might be a little bit too late for Frodo and the other men of the Shire, as they're looking pretty dead. Pretty dead. It's just down to the 2 Bastiladons, and we will make that 1 Bastiladon very shortly. But the Beastmen are haggard. They're very haggard. These dogs are going to break as soon as they come into contact with that thing. All these units are running off. Everything over here is low health. Yep, Pterodons dive right down, get on top of those dogs. Very good. And somehow that Bastiladon with solar engines has not broken. And will the Beastmen's terrible leadership be literally what loses them this game? That is shocking, but not the first time. Pterodons with all this ammo do need to pull back up into the sky and just start shooting down at the Gorbel. Leave Malagor at this point. He's probably used most of his mana, and he can't really die to that sort of fire anyway. But it looks like these Pterodons are instead being used to constantly charge against things that charge on the Bastiladon solar engine. Actually, a very nice play. Not what I would have done, but I would have lost this game. So, don't listen to me. Over here, Bastiladon solar engine charging into the Gorbel, knocking him on his bum, and thinking about point-blank firing that crystal into his head, but not quite there yet. Now, the Lizardmen have a decent little death core here. These Saurus are nearly unbreakable, it would seem. As I say that, one starts to falter. 2 solar engines, massive terror-causing armor pieces, very good. And with these Pterodons to run around and keep routing off units, it might soon be just Malagor and a Gorbel here left alone. And they are no Morgur, they are not unbreakable. My voice is tired because this battle has been very, very fast-paced. But we will see what happens. Gorbel is down to about 1/4 HP, and he used to have 2/3 before fighting these big armored targets, so that is not great for him. And these Pterodons are surprisingly doing well at routing off all these things while not taking too terribly much damage in the process. I still think they have rock drops. They should maybe just ditch them somewhere and just do what damage they can. And Gorbel is losing in combat to these Bastiladons with solar engines. And with that, the balance of power still says the Beastmen are going to win this, but I start to have my doubts. Though the Saurus infantry are chain routing, which is quite unfortunate for the Lizardmen just as they were getting really to grips with this game. I think these Pterodons, even though I've said it multiple times and I've been wrong multiple times, do need to come here, use the last of their ammunition on the Gorbel, and just kill him off. Get him away from your armored dinosaurs and let the armored dinosaurs carry the rest of the day. Now, Gorbel is at a decent amount of leadership with very, very little health. Maybe if this Bastiladon solar engine can get 1 hit left in. The balance of power still says the Lizardmen are out of this, but I think it is neck and neck. These Pterodons are still firing, trying to get some last damage into that Gorbel, and he's down to 45 health. How is he still fighting? You're a beastman, not a dwarf. And he just dies. He dies before breaking, and a nice rear charge comes in from the Pterodons, but it might be a little too late to save the solar engine. It's rallying. It's barely hanging on versus Malagor, and Malagor is beating his desperate little wings in frustration. He's just like, why can't I be a good lord? I am such a good boy. And he's doing his best, but now there are some Lizardmen forces on the rally, and in the sky we have Pterodon riders almost out of ammo, but somehow still around. Lizard is not okay, says Jay Phoenix, and I might agree. And the balance of power still does not think that the Lizards can win, but there it goes, all of a sudden, massively into their favor as a terror comes in for Malagor the Dark Omen. What is left for the Beastmen? Why isn't this army losses? It is some spearmen, and it is a surrender. A very, very good game from these players, and I had to talk that whole time. Was looking at this week's rat race, seeing the rules, it says banner rules and no bug abuse. The rule above it says spell abuse allowed. Oh no, I have questions. I have questions during a stream, and I didn't check any of the values because I'm a bad person. Being a piece of shit is hard, chat. It's hard. All right, so we have 1 and 1. We are going to a rubber match. And I need to remember what map I told them this was. Oakenhammer. Oakenhammer Skaven versus Lizardmen. Human Boy Eagles, too late to save the day. Pterodons, a wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to. You're right, Benji. You're right and I'm wrong. As per usual. In case you haven't noticed, I'm just a pretty face and a pretty voice. And all of you out there know what's going on, and I don't, because I'm a gosh darn idiot. So we have the map set. The map set, I don't care about that anymore. What's going on? There's a question about my speed run. So, if you're out there and you don't know about it for some reason, in my Discord, there's a speed run. I have posted 2 armies, one of Empire, one of Dwarves. They are friends. They are best buds. They are compatriots. You need to go kill them. You need to take an evil army of some sort and go beat their brains in with an axe, with a hammer, with your fists, with warpstone, with whatever you want. Go, beat the shit out of them. There's 3 challenges. You get $10 for winning each. There is bug abuse and no banner rules is the first one. You can just do whatever you want, hurt them in any way you can. Number 2 is take a banner rules legal army and 1v2 the AI like the boss, like the Chad you are. Number 3... What just happened? Whatever. Number 3 is you construct an AI army to fight for you. And then... Okay, Salty's back. Good. And only you bring a lord. You can put as much stuff on this lord as you want, but you're supporting that AI army. So you have to lead these stupid, idiot, dumb AI to beat a 2v1 with only your lord helping. So you're going to have to get some great magic casts. You're going to have to build an AI army that can suffer some serious abuse. You're going to have to cycle charge. It should be a lot of fun. And so Tissi doesn't win all 3 of them again, first place in one category cannot get first place in another 2. I'll still show the replay. It'll still be fun. But we will have 3 different winners, which means Anticity has to pick his favorite. All right. Captain Morgan was asking me a question about this. Was looking at this week's rat race. I've seen the rules. It says banner rules and no bug abuse. The rule above says that is allowed. Yes, there are 3 separate challenges. 1, bug abuse, no banner rules. 2, banner rules, no bugs. 3, get an AI army to fight for you. You bring a lord and be a Chad. Boom. All right. These players are readying up. Salty is a little sad about the Skaven versus Lizardman matchup. Understandable. It's tough. It's tough for Skaven. I don't care what anybody says. Like, it could be favored. It can be favored for Skaven. I'll give them that, but not like... It's not like Skaven versus Dwarves, or it's not Vampire Counts versus Dwarves, or Empire versus Dwarves, or anything versus Dwarves. I think it's, 45-55. Lizards have good tools. I mean, they have good leadership. They have... Sorry, answering another question. They have good leadership. They have a lot of big monsters, 2 things Skaven hate. And while they can shoot them with Rattling guns, if you time your Pterodon strikes well, your Ripterdactyl strikes well, you can disrupt their guns before they can tear apart your stuff. Yeah, it's doable. Chameleon Skinks are super toxic for Skaven to deal with. Pterodon Riders are a little easier to deal with than Chameleon Skinks, but still tough. Honestly, a build that does well against me whenever I play it is like 5 skink cohorts, 3 Croxagors, 2 Bastillodons with nothing on them, just the 650 version, but they're super tanky and really, really cheap terror. 4 Pterodon Riders, Croxagor Ancient Lord, Skink Summoner of Manticores, and then if you have any money left, I don't know. Fill it out with Feral Cold Ones or Saurus Warriors or some shit, but that core is pretty good. Pretty good at just punching through your lines. Because even Skinks, even the weakest of Lizardmen, have surprisingly good leadership, I've found. Like, they don't break as quickly as you would hope as the Skaven player, even if you're poison wind bombing them, and they just hang on for a bit too long, push through your Skaven slaves, Croxagors will run through everything. And, because usually I try to bring Warp Lightning Cannons or try to bring Jezzails or bring guns, but the problem with the build I just described is you need to shoot the Croxagors, you need to shoot the Lord, you need to shoot the Pterodons, you need to shoot the Bastillodons, and there's just too many things to shoot in too little time, and they'll bust through your front line. So it can be done, but it is, it's a little Skaven favored. Not enough Rattling Gunners then, Butcherbird? True. Trudeau. But Jay is indeed fighting uphill. So what do we have for Salty? We have a Chieftain on a Bonebreaker. That's super popular for some reason. Houseplant and Salty. You'll have to tell me what that's all about. Gracier of Plague on a Bell, a Hell Pit Abomination, Icket's Zap Zap Cannon, 3 Poison Winds, an Assassin in the Trees, 1 unit of Rat Ogres, 2 unit of Rat Ogres, Clan Rats, and Skaven Slaves to buffer out the front line. This is a good build. This is a good build. I worry if Jay has a bunch of dinosaurs that only a Hell Pit and a Chieftain on a Bonebreaker may not be enough to take it out. Maybe Icket's Zap Zap can help them, but there might be a little bit of stopping power shortage. But Jay... Oh, damn it. Now I have to do math. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, good. Only 6 360 fires. Jay has gone with 4 Chameleon Skinks, 2 Pterodon Riders. The Umbral Tide are going to be super good against that Hell Pit Abomination if they can get in range. Lord Mazdamundi on his toilet seat. 2 Stegodons. I believe the Stegodons have the Ballistas and Skink Cohorts with Javelins. Oh, crap. How many units is this? 11. Jay! Wait. Hold on. Yeah, Jay's realizing it too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 out of 12 ranged units. Correct. How you wanna solve this? It is in the corner if that's okay. Of course. But what's in the corner? What is Jay sacrificing? It's 1 Javelin Skink. Yeah, that's probably right. I respect Jay Phoenix for doing this well, provided he is doing tough matchups. Yeah, Liam, Jay is a very good player. We haven't seen as much of her around recently because I think the game got a little boring between patches, especially a lot of the high-level players. Like, I'm surprised Ice Powers hung on this long. Words, man. Hung on this long because the players that really just play all the time and grind it out and are at, like, the top of tournaments, you know, they've been playing the same patch for so long, they play all the same matchups for so long, and they're a little more serious about the game than I can be, so they won't take bad matchups. Like, they have very good structured bans, where I usually just ban what I don't want to play against at that moment, so I get a lot of different matchups all the time. Really good players will end up playing Greenskins versus Vampire Coast, like, 100 times a patch, and they just get tired of it. They get tired of Wood Elves versus Lizardmen, they get tired of all the standard matchups, so... Yes, Jay is an excellent player, just hasn't been playing as much recently. The Skaven are on the advance. I don't know if they have to do that, as Icket's Zap Zap is in range, but maybe the target that Saltier wants to shoot is not quite in range, as we have some bolts ripping it, I believe. Okay, they're still going after Stegodon. I thought they might be going after Mazdamundi, but it does not appear so. So trying to take out the counter-skirmishing, because these Stegodons are the Ballista variant. They're not the machine gun variant, so they actually do have quite long range. Now Jay is taking their time, setting up a very slow push. As you can see, Chameleon Skinks and Pterodons are getting a nice surround to start poking in here. I'm curious why these Stegodons aren't counter-firing into the Icket's Zap Zap, but I don't quite know their range. Now they have attack orders to turn and fire. They have 360 range. Icket's Zap Zap has 430, so the range difference isn't that bad. They could be firing soon. We have an Uranus Thunderbolt coming down to try and succeed at taking out one of the Icket's Zap Zap cannons. Very nice. Now, with only Poison Wind Globe, this is actually something I didn't really consider. The 2 Pterodon Riders will be largely okay here, because Icket's Zap Zap would have to shoot at them to try and take them out of the sky, and Warp Lightning Cannons are not super efficient at doing that, so it's going to be easy for Jay Phoenix to secure the sky matchup. In the chat, we have Butcherbird saying if you're good enough, you can ban anything you want. I think Evenstar, for instance, routinely takes terrible matchups. Yeah, I just try to take matchups that are fun, honestly. Not all the time. Like, if I really want to win, I'll try to ban the absolute best thing. But if I'm just playing Anticity Ladder against some friends, or Quick Battle, you don't ban anything. But I'll just pick what I want to pick, and if I get counterpicked in quick battles, that is what it is. Icket's Zap Zap getting some nice damage onto Mazdamundi, but the Skaven line has completely abandoned it as they saw the writing on the wall that it was about to break, and now Pterodon should easily force it off. So with Icket's Zap Zap down, that is all the range pressure for the Skaven off the map, and now these Chameleon Skinks here should be able to push in, shoot the crap out of these Rat Ogres. Pterodons will largely own the skies, and the Poison Wind Globes have range 85, and Chameleon Skinks have range 80. So they technically outrange the Chameleon Skinks, but I do think the Chameleons get some good trades in here. Luckily, typical Beastman counters are fun matchups. Well, that's good. That's a hidden benefit of a faction. So the Chameleon Skinks are teeing off into these Rat Ogres that we can see, and they hate any form of ranged fire. It doesn't matter how limited it is. Even this Chieftain with a Bonebreaker has to be careful. His 70 armor won't protect him from shit when there's 100 million darts flying your way. In the back, some Pterodon Riders getting on top of these Poison Wind Globes and just shooting down on them, just harassing them, making sure. This Hell Pit's coming back to look scary, but I don't think it can actually bail them out of any situation. I think these units are just here in case the Pterodons actually decided to go in. Over here, the Grey Seer is advancing, and Jay is just going to pull the entire army away because these Pterodons are fulfilling the attacking rule very easily, very nicely, not taking any damage. So if you're currently in a winning situation, you have no real incentive to change the situation. So Jay is going to delay the frontline fight as long as possible. The extra ranged unit should still be in a corner. Yep, it's way over in that corner. Still not being used. Still fine. This Poison Wind Globe unit is already down to half health. It may want to consider just stopping and throwing up into the Pterodon Riders. It's not great damage, but it's better than nothing, and currently you're just being chased off. But certainly a very tough situation for this game to be in, as a good Scorch is coming down, and it's going to do some good damage on the Skink cohort, especially since, if I'm correct, that was a free Scorch. Since it's the one that doesn't cost Winds of Magic, it just might overcast and hurt your Grey Seer, but seeing as how the Grey Seer is at full health, it did not do that. Now the Pterodons waited for their moment to strike and did, diving down onto these Poison Wind Globadiers and routing them off. And over there we see the Ikit Zap Zap crew has shattered, and these Pterodon Riders are coming back. Now Jay Phoenix still pulling back, still doing a good job, and here we get to see the Umbral Tide teeing up into that Chieftain. Even the Chieftain, without regeneration, therefore the weakness to fire, is taking a lot of damage from these good lizards. But, ooh, a little bit of a mistake here, clumping up a couple of units for the Poison Wind Globes to hit. It shouldn't be too bad as long as Jay pulls away now and does not allow them to rout. The Stegodon here is pulling back a little bit, wants to keep kiting, and Jay is playing this a lot like one might play Wood Elves. Just kite, keep your distance, pick good engagements, and everything will be fine. But a Storm Vermin with Halberd summoned right on top of the Umbral Tide is going to be tough for them, and they are going to pull out right away. Mazda Mundi is going to cast a net to try and help the Umbral Tide get out of here. They are routing, and they're going to route awfully close to the side of the map. Thankfully, they're not the fastest lizards, so they might rally in time. In the back, the Pterodons are making sure that those Poison Wind Globes do not come back, and these Pterodons are running their way over here, but the Hell Pit Abomination has been a little bit forgotten for now, and the Skaven front line is trying to do a lot of the work, which as soon as I say those words, I know that is a risky gamble, my friend. Betting on the Skaven front line to do anything besides die horribly is quite the bet. Mazda Mundi deciding this is a good time to jump on top of the Grey Seer, and never mind, I lied, that is a normal-ass Stegodon. Over here, Jay is using her own units to block up the Umbral Tide and give them the time they need to rally without covering the distance to the edge of the map. Here, a Chieftain is getting on top of a Stegodon, doing decent work, but there are Chameleon Skinks nearby that should be able to peel this. Skink Priest of Heavens is pulling back as well. It looks like the whole Lizardman army is trying to race against time to get out of this pocket right here and just secure some way to run away, but it's looking like they're running out of time. Over here, these Pterodon Riders are coming back in, and the Hell Pit Abomination has gotten involved now, and it's right on top of a Stegodon, an excellent target for him indeed, and the Stegodon starts to break. There is a summon coming down. It looks like the Lizardmen have been unfortunately cornered. They didn't quite make it out, and now they are just going to have to make their last stand in the corner. Chameleons keeps doing their best to try and carry their way out of this fight, but they really do need to start focusing on Rat Ogres or the Chieftain. Currently, they are firing into random-ass clan rats, and that is maybe not the best target. The Umbral Tide has fallen back, and I think they're going to make their last stand here any second, but there are Rat Ogres on top of them, even though their little flag is way back here. I didn't see their massive hulks on top of them. That is going to be tricky, though this could be a double-edged sword for the Skaven, as they are right on the white line. If anything routes here, it is going straight off the map, though that also goes for this Stegodon, which currently has a big old Chieftain right behind it doing some great armor-piercing damage. And that is a Scorch coming in, and that is going to do a lot of damage to everybody in this little area here. One Skink already routing off, two Skinks routing off, and these little chameleons right here are trying to get rid of these Rat Ogres, as are the Umbral Tide, but they are just, as I've said, they are just out of room. They're out of room and out of time. They can't keep kiting. And unfortunately for the Lizardmen, they have been herded, they have been corralled, and they will be murdered. I thought at the very start with the air advantage and the skirmish advantage, maybe Jay could have clutched this out, but it looks like the Skaven advance was just too aggressive once they realized that they were going to lose the ranged fight. Very interesting there. Mazdamundi 1v1ing a chieftain, not a matchup that he will win, and just takes a bunch of poison wind globes in the back for his effort, but that also lowers the chieftain's leadership, so maybe will actually help Mazdamundi. But army losses is coming in, and army losses is more powerful than any spell. GG, well played. GG, well played indeed. So it looks like the Pterodons both paid for themselves. The Stegodons struggled a little bit, not finding the targets that they wanted. Chameleon Skinks were doing fine. I mean, they still had plenty of health. Well, 3 out of the 4 models had plenty of health, but they ran out of room to kite, unfortunately. And having to sacrifice one of your chaff units in the back corner for the game is also quite tough. For Saltier Than You, good value, especially on the Chieftain with the Bone Breaker. I might have to look into that tech, because apparently a lot of people are enjoying it. Poison Wind doing its stuff, Rat Ogre is doing quite well, but a lot of the value isn't going to add up because most of the things ran off the map rather than died. I feel like Rush is better than Kite here, but then again, I don't play much of Lizardmen. I think I lost through Roulette here a bit. True, but you played well. Unfortunate for Jay Phoenix. She got a bad roll of the dice on that one, but as someone in the chat said, I believe it was Liam, played quite well, and I agree with what's going on in the chat right now. The Beastmen game was quite tilting because, I mean, she did everything right. You know, she really played her ass off that game, and it just, ugh. Okay, the Gorbel staying until 47 HP or whatever was a little silly. Oh, Ice Power's already here. All right. Okay, Ice Power is here. We need maps. We need maps. All right, Butcher Bird, what the heck is this? Yes, once I have maps. Okay, Cairn Woods. Butcher, what am I looking at? What is this? What is this map? Beastman game was tilting. I think she would have won if she had taken range. Maybe. Alright. Any objections to Cairn Woods? I will ask the players if they have any objections to this map. And if they don't, we will try it for possibly my #1 fan, Butcherbird. You're always chilling. Any objections to Cairn Woods? All right, Ice Power's coming out hot with the yes, so we will avoid that. Ice Power does not agree with you. We will go with Eshin. Gorgazon's good. Gorgazon. And Schwarzhofen. Schwarzhofen's good. Schwarzhofen. Blind picks with those in mind. The build doesn't abuse the bug because the bug is guardian's discharge. Overlap it even if you imagine it. Happens. I don't care that much about it. It's fine. Okay, so we have maps. We have Eshin, Gorgazon, and Schwarzhofen. Ice Power Total War versus Saltier Than You in the finals. We have the Beasts of Rage versus the Murderous Host. All 12 people in the chat. Who you voting for? Who you rooting for? The haggard Dark Elves and Norskins being dragged across the finish line by Greenskins, or the wonderful, glorious Skaven and their 2 peons? All right. Beastmen, Lizardmen, Skaven into Greenskins, Dark Elf, Norse, if I read that correctly, but I will double check. Greenskins, Dark Elves, Norse, yep. Lovely. Ice Power never agrees with you. But it's a good map for Beastmen, to be fair. It just has a lot of nice terrain. Iron Sand Desert, please. Such a nice view in the back. My bet's on Ice Power. I'm voting anyone who plays Beastmen. All right, so Butcherbird going for Salty. TN going for Ice Power. Lovely, lovely. Well played to everybody today who has fallen out. Let's see here. We have Artisan Tech Priest West, Cool Umbrella, J Phoenix, Blood Penguin, TN, Hayden's, Houseplant. I think I already said J Phoenix, but J Phoenix. And now in the finals we have Saltier Than You versus Ice Power. I need to change the names. I will get to that. But I am way too busy being a silly kerfluffin. A lot of slaves for the altars of Cain coming in. Correct. Correct. Okay. What are we doing? How do I type things? Words. 0. And Ice Power's on the left. TW. Lovely. And Saltier. Can I get his name in? Maybe if I just included a U there. Boom. And you don't have a point. You have nothing. You get nothing. You lose, sir. Good day. Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Anybody? Never mind. It's fine. Beastmen versus Greenskins isn't bad. I've seen some Beastmen players pick this into Greenskins as a counter pick. I think it's as 50-50 as anything with Greenskins is ever going to be. Because Beastmen are fast. Beastmen are hard-hitting. They can actually catch the skirmish of the Greenskins pretty well. They can deal with Stone Trolls all right. Especially if you have Minotaurs with Great Axes or... There's two ways to approach it. You can go Chaos Spawn, which don't have the armor piercing but are unbreakable. Or... you could have, sorry, I got distracted by the chat. Or you could have the Minotaurs with great weapons for the armor piercing, but they can break. And I don't think that order is right. Beastmen versus Greenskins is the first one. Dark Elves versus Lizardmen. Yep. Dark Elves versus Lizardmen in the second one, and then Skaven versus Norska. So if I had to guess, I would say Ice Power has an advantage in games 1 and 3. And I don't know how Lizardmen into Dark Elves goes, but I know Ice Power is probably quite confident in it. Anyway. The Greenskins are still organizing, and the Beastmen are all in one nice clump, so I'll do them first. We have 4 Ungor Raiders for the Beastmen. We have some Gore Herds with shields. Very few infantry from the Beastmen, if I'm reading this correctly. This is a massive mobile build. We have Centaurs with throwing axes on the side, Blackhorns Ravagers in the middle with Kazrek. Ooh. We get Kazrek One-Eye to try to chariot duel with Grom the Paunch. Bray Shaman of Wilds with Traderkin and Viletide. We have Centaurs and Centaurs with throwing axes along with Poison Dogs, normal dogs. Salty really hates Poison Dogs. Interesting. Centaurs on the other side as well. So a massive mobile corps just trying to chase down the Greenskins, chain route them off, and never be in one place. Lizardmen Dark Elves is good for Lizardmen. Supposedly, those are my 2 worst matchups. I keep telling Salty to abandon this build. Well, Salty didn't listen to you. But I do need to mention what the Greenskins are playing with. We have Goblin Wolf Riders, Spider Riders, and Wolf Riders. No one's really that surprised. I am surprised to see the ROR Spider Riders, the Death Creepas. We have 8 Peak Loons along with some Orc Boys on the sides. We only have 1 spinning loon, it looks like. Some Savage Orc Biggins on the back line. It looks like 3 units of them. Some regular Spider Riders as well, 4 of those. An Orc Shaman with only Brainburster, Grom the Paunch, and a Giant River Troll Hag with only Spirit Leech. Kind of surprised not to see Doom and Darkness in this matchup, as Beastmen are notoriously low on leadership. Over here, the first Skirmish Corps is going pretty well for these Goblins. 78 speed and 92 speed should be able to outrun the Beastmen as long as they're poisoned. And a good Viletide coming in. Wait, nope, that's a Brainburster. Brainburster coming in, but a nice dodge by Salty. And it looks like they're just letting the archers trade for now, and the Beastmen are getting the upper hand of this immediate trade. Savage Orc Biggin's going to get shot with archers as well, and they are unshielded, unarmored, so that will be quite good. But it looks like Saltier Than You is not taking the frontline fight as long as he can, just to avoid it. These Ungor Raiders do need to pull back now that the Night Goblins have gotten Nidus and up close to them. But they might be a little slow on it, and now there are some loons spinning right behind them to cut off their escape. Very interesting stuff there. I wonder if that was not a miscast, but there is a little bit of randomness to the spinning loons. They don't always follow exactly what you want. Here these Centaurs with throwing axes are going after the River Troll Hag, but they do accidentally run into some Savage Orc Biggins in melee combat. That will be tough for them. The Ungor Raider lines have started to pull back, and it now looks like they'll reform firing lines. Over here, a Savage Orc Biggin has taken a lot of fire, somewhat for free, but in the back here, it looks like the mobile core of Saltier Than You has come out of the Death Creepers, and it might route them very close to the edge of the map, which would be quite good for the Beastmen. But while they're doing that, they are getting collapsed onto these Spider Riders, and they have to turn and fight so they don't get charged in the rear. Are these dogs going to keep chasing the Death Creepers, or are they going to try to save these Centaurs? I think saving the Centaurs might be the better option, but they're maybe a little too surrounded. You might just want to cut your losses and save the dogs. On the rest of the battlefield, ooh, the giant River Troll Hag is getting picked here by Centaurs and dogs. That is very nice for Salty. As over here, these Centaurs with throwing axes are going to start shooting at Orc Boys as Ungor Raiders continue to run away. So it's a lot of kiting from Saltier Than You. Maybe learning a bit from Jay Phoenix in their last game, deciding that that looked like a good way to do this. The 8-peak loonies have been massively punished by the Goreherds with shields and the double chariots, and Kazrak is trying to get into the back of these Savage Orc Biggins, and I think this might be a current advantage state for Saltier Than You. I think. In this backfield, there is some weird leadership things going on with these Centaurs, but they are definitely breaking. These dogs are running in, and they might be throwing good money after bad. You might just want to get them out of there. But it looks like they are going to commit. It looks like a lot of the Beastmen micro is over here on this side of the map, as Centaurs are going to escort off the giant River Troll Hag, and these Centaurs with throwing axes are going to try to save some of the dogs. Over here, more Centaurs fighting more Spider Riders very close to the edge of the map, but it looks like they might be pushing them away from the edge, which could be a problem. Never mind, they go right off. So the mobile engagements are confusing. I would say it's about a wash. The infantry engagement went quite well for the Beastmen, but some of their archers are looking a little worse for wear, and there are some Orc Boys to keep pushing. And that would leave the Lord battle, in which case the Beastmen have pushed off the giant River Troll Hag. It looks like she is dead and gone, unless I missed something critical, but there's still an Orc Shaman and Grom the Paunch, which I still think that the Greenskins have more in the leadership tank than the Beastmen. I would take Grom over Kazrak. Sorry, Butcherbird. Over here, these Centaurs have routed off. Looks like these dogs routed and are coming back and are immediately thrown back to the fight against these Forest Goblin Spider Riders, but they're going to immediately break. So Ice Power has won the backfield and the right flank, but has lost the front line and the left flank. A very even fight so far, even on terms of geography. Here's some throwing axes getting in some cheap shots at Grom the Paunch while they can, while he's tied up on top of the other Centaurs, but some Spider Riders are going to try to bounce out and immediately get countercharged with Centaurs and probably get slapped. Kazrak is trying to shut down these Wolf Rider archers and kill those fricking 8-peak loonies that won't go anywhere, and resecures archers. But it does look like Salty has 3 archers back online. Maybe has to get this one and pull it back into the fray, but they are online. Their caster is damaged but still alive, and Kazrak has plenty of health. So, if all things were equal, I would probably want to be the Beastman right now, but you can never count the Greenskins out, because Grom Punch is quite the terror. Butcherbird saying Kazrak wins. Actually, I have no idea if that's true, but I do know you're tricky, because you're a Beastman main, so you would know, but also you're a Beastman main, so you're a biased source. So I don't know. I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to pretend you never said anything. Wah. And I'll leave it up to mystery. There's one 8-peak loon left, and Kazrak's just going to leave him. He doesn't think it's worth his time. This mobile side, with the Greenskin reinforcements pulling through from the right flank that they won, they have completely shut down this side of the Beastmen advance. But the front line has gone terribly for the Greenskins. The Beastmen still have a little nexus of power in infantry and archers, and that can be hard for all this Greenskin skirmish cav to deal with. There's one unit of Orc Boys left to do the real bump and grind and fighting, and everything else is pretty much dead because that one goblin named Terry will not carry this fight for you. I'm sorry, but Terry is trying. Over here, we still have the slightly forgotten Ungor Raiders that do need to be pulled in. Ice might want to take these Goblin Wolf Riders and just route them off the map real quick, but I think he's a little worried about those Centaurs. Over here, the Orc Boys that almost got immediately spelled down and ran over by chariots, but here the archers are getting compromised by all the skirmish cav just because there's not enough infantry to try and save them. Terry the One Goblin is still fighting. He's still fighting, saying this stinks. Hanging on for his liege lord, Grom the Paunch. The inspiration for all goblins, truly. Now, Bounce Power, still dead even. J Phoenix saying something in the chat that I'll deal with later. But I think she's making a reference to Vermintide. Alright. Grom the Paunch is trying to carry this game his hardest. Meanwhile, Terry, the single night goblin, did he die? No, he died! Terry, no! Come back! Over here, some Centaurs fighting to the bitter end against these Spider Riders. More Spider Riders running off, but this Brave Shaman of Wilds is getting taken to Pound Town by Grom the Paunch. Grom the Paunch does not want any other chariots in this game, and he is starting with you. Down to 17 health. That Brave Shaman is dead. Blackhorn's Ravagers are fighting off some other things, but even with the Brave Shaman dying, the Bounce Power pulls slightly into the favor of the Greenskins, but is still largely even, and this Orc Shaman is in some real trouble, surrounded by Goreherd, but Kazrak, the One-Eye, can maybe fight against Grom the Paunch, but he opts not to, just pulling through the Blackhorn's Ravagers to try to slow him down, and he does not slow down. He pushes straight through them, kicks them all up into the air, and Kazrak gets a cheeky little hit off on him. Over here, some Spider Riders are super close to breaking, but they will hold on for just long enough to shatter those Ungor Raiders. Some other Ungor Raiders on the flank are firing back into them. Oh, it is so hard to keep up with everything breaking. These two low leadership, super fast factions are just confusing to watch. Over here, some Forest Goblin Spider Riders have pulled back, and if I were Kazrak, I mean, maybe he wins in melee combat, and I don't know about that, but I would pull back to your support, at least get some archers, at least get some infantry around you. Don't sit here chasing around Grom the Paunch all on your own. If you don't have to take an even fight, why take it? Kazrak's still chasing Grom the Paunch. Grom trying to run away, trying to rally with some of his forces, but there are so little forces to rally with. And meanwhile, while he's been running away, this Orc Shaman does rout, and he's going to be escorted off by some very friendly Centaurs. Over here, Kazrak is currently getting poisoned by these Forest Goblin Spider Riders, and they got Degradans is here buff, and they're going to surround him, and now Grom the Paunch, now that he has friends, turns around and decides to take this 1v1 me noob. But it is not a 1v1, and Kazrak's leadership is suffering. But Kazrak also has friends, bringing in Blackhorns, Ravagers, and Centaurs. Some Goreherds with shields will escort off that Orc Shaman, and the archers are coming in to try and help Grom. So now it is Grom versus the world. There is nothing left for the Greenskins that is currently rallied. Kazrak is standing and fighting with Grom the Paunch. It looks like Butcherbird in the chat may have been right, because he is getting worked on. This went way better for Salty than I expected. That's because you have to believe in Salty, Butcherbird. You have to believe in him. Ice Power saying, ouch, man, I suck. And Salty saying, GG. Very different feelings from the players there. But Ice Power's dreaded Dark Elves were reserved for Game 2. Very nicely played. He was not okay. True. And Jay, I really thought you were going to say Warhammer community's favorite game was going to be Vermintide. Alright, Kazrak the One-Eye getting 2,180 value. His Shaman Apprentice getting 800. Goreherds paying for themselves quite well. Ungor Raiders paying for themselves decently. Dogs and Centaurs getting very mixed value. Some carrying the game, some intentionally feeding. Grom Paunch doing okay. Orc Shaman doing great. Giant River Troll Hag did get isolated very early on. Terry the Night Goblin Fanatic did great. The rest of his troop not so much. Biggins struggled. Spider Riders paid for themselves. Skirmish Cav did quite well for themselves. And it was a very close game. Let's play. It's pretty late. I want to go to sleep after you destroy me. It is true. Ice Power, I believe, is an Englishman. And as such... Gorgazan, got it. As such, it is quite late on that side of the pond. GG, well played. Well, I don't have to say the second map is set. They knew what it was before the game started. It's almost as if Grom isn't as OP as people say. Hey, you keep that blasphemy out of YouTube chat. YouTube chat is a sacred place. Third challenge. Anticity was running out of ideas for the third challenge. Ooh. Finally, 5-minute battle. I've been told that you're a liar. All right, Butcherbird and Anticity going back and forth in the speedrun chat. screaming at each other. It's unsportsmanlike conduct, and both will be banned from all future events. Jay, I'm surprised that you're awake at this hour and RTK Felix is not. I thought Felix was supposed to be the irresponsibly awake one. I am salty. I'm a salty, salty person. And I need to update the scoreboard. God, I'm so bad at that. I just assume everybody will always be here and will always watch all the games. I keep forgetting that some people like to pop in and out. All right, updated. Updated. So we have Ice Power Total War on his beloved and terrifying Dark Elves versus Saltier Than You on, I don't know his favorite faction, so let's say beloved Lizardmen. Sure, why not? 3 Chameleon Skinks on the front line, 2 Bastildons with solar engines, Slann Mage Priest of High Magic. Very interesting stuff. It looks like they wanted Tempest and Apotheosis for the healing, Tempest for any flying units. Very, very, very interesting stuff. I have not seen that in a long time. Saurus Scar Veteran with only the Potion of Strength. What is going on? These are some wild picks here. Cold One Spear Riders on the flanks. Nice anti-large. Are there 3 of them, or did you just move? All right, there are only 2 of them. 3 Chameleon Skinks on the front. I think I mentioned that. 4 Saurus Warriors. 1 Skink cohort with Javelins. Is that really all the money? Huh. It doesn't feel like a full build, but I guess that's all the money. Salty is a Beastman main. Oh. Well, good job on his main beating Ground the Paunch. Over for Ice Power Total War, we have Dark Shards. Looks like 3 of them. 2 Reaper Claw Bolt Throwers. Reaper Bolt Throwers. I don't know Dark Elves, man. Some Cold One Dread Knights. We have 2 Cold One Dread Knights, 1 Dark Rider on the back just to do some sweeping Dread Spears, Bleak Swords all over, and we have Malekith on his Black Dragon. Does he have Soul Stealer? He has Soul Stealer and a Breath Attack. That's it. So what's going to happen here? Reaper Claw Bolt Thrower is probably going to fire. Well, I would have guessed they'd fire into the solar engines to start the artillery fight off, but it looks like they're immediately going to shoot into the Cold One Spear Riders. Don't want to deal with any of that. Chameleon Skinks have free reign on the skirmish front, but if they get a little too close to these Dark Shards, they will take a murderin'. Jay Phoenix in the chat saying, if Ice wanted to spell kite, he could have and probably would have won, but he's very tired, so did not want such a long game. True. It is a tough time for Ice to be playing over in Le England, but if people want EU tournaments, when I post, because in my chat I usually post in Discord what tournaments we're going to be doing that week and have people vote on it, I will usually have a slot up for a European time zone. If we get enough votes in the European time zone, I will certainly host one there. It's just previously I've had little awkward times where I've had to cancel tournaments because only Dialatron signed up. But back into the game, the front line of the Dark Elves is collapsing rather quickly, but these Reaper Bolt Throwers are doing immense damage on whatever they're shooting at. Good lord, that Bastildon with the Solar Engine is already going down quite hard. These Saurus Warriors have also been having a tough time. Now, Malekith did get Tempest and took a lot of damage from some ranged assets while he was up there, but he does have Soul Stealer to heal up. Chameleon Skinks in the back are going to be fighting Dark Shards. Now, these are the unshielded variants of the Dark Shards, so they might take a little worse on that trade than you would think, but they are still very, very good archers. Ice totally could have won. Salty's build is lacking a lot of things. That said, Human Boy, it's not okay. Look. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jay. There's a lot of not okay going on, but you'll make it through this. Cold One Knights have charged in and out. It doesn't look like they did a lot of damage, but this Saurus Scarvet has maybe taken a bit of poke. Both Reaper Bolt Throwers are still online despite all the chaos, so very well played by Ice Power to keep his back line quite safe. Tempest is not okay from Jay Phoenix. I agree, but you're a high elf player. You have Tempest. You use this. You do this. You taught me how to use Tempest, you silly. Malekith taking some more damage as he casts a nice breath attack down the line. Ooh, just destroys the Saurus Warriors with shields. A very nice cast by Ice Power. The Dark Shards are all trying to stay safe along with their Cold One Dread Knights, but they might have to push in here to keep these Skink cohorts with Javelins off of the Reaper Bolt Throwers. Malekith is getting quite low on health and might need a Soul Stealer to heal him up soon as another beam of light from the Bastildon with the Solar Engine slams into his back. Cold One Spear Riders are fighting Cold One Dread Knights and doing pretty even trade on both sides, but there are Dread Spears here. Soul Stealer is not okay, says Jay Phoenix. I know, buddy. I know. But we're going to get through this together as a team. A good Soul Stealer coming in from Malekith, just trying to get some health, just trying to heal up and get some legs back in this fight. Some Dread Spears a little idle on the side, but it is, let's see, England is 6 hours ahead of me, so it is 2:30 in the morning for Ice Power. So, maybe a little tired. Gold One Dread Knights winning against these Cold One Spear Riders. Health-wise, it's an even trade, but leadership-wise, the Dark Elves have it made. These Cold One Dread Knights are fighting some Chameleon Skinks and some good picks. The backfield has completely belonged to Ice Power, while the front line has gone to Lizardmen. Though, as I say that, looking around the map, what do the Lizardmen really have left? They have a Slann of High Magic, and they have a Saurus Scarvet, and a Bastillodon with a Solar Engine. Everything else is just completely shot. The Lizardmen are extremely, extremely low on depth right now, and there are a lot of Dread Spears that you have to chew through. Even a full health one over here. These two Dark Shards could turn around and just eviscerate the Slann Mage Priest. So as I was starting to worry for Ice Power, I actually do think the Dark Elves are in a tremendous tactical lead at this point, even if the Balance of Power does not believe in them. Tempest is super balanced for the next 13 days until it does stuff to my faction. You know, Butcherbird, that's the real mentality you gotta have. Only focus on balance through your own lens. And here the Dark Shards are firing into the Slann, and if anybody saw my match against, oh crap. Someone. Deadly Bunnies playing the Dark Elves. Slanns do not like to be shot by Dark Shards. They will die very quickly. But it looks like the Dark Shards have now turned their attention just onto the Skinks, just trying to kill all the chaff and leave only single entities. Malekith is still very wounded and trying desperately to dodge Solar Engine shots, but that ammo... There's plenty of ammo there. I think Malekith's going to have to keep dancing for quite a while. These Dark Shards do need to start shooting the Slann, in my opinion, but it looks like Ice Power's going to turn around and fire these Cold One Spear Riders so they cannot be compromised. A good choice to be sure. I think maybe one could have accomplished that instead of both, but we will see, as those Cold One Riders are going to be routed off. Now, there are 3 units of very healthy Dark Shards with plenty of ammo that really, if microed effectively and kiting effectively, should be quite fine. And the Lizardman army is officially, well, I shouldn't say officially, but fuck it, officially down to 3 single entities, all ready to be shot, all surrounded by chaff. And it is only a matter of time until the nefarious, infamous, devious Dark Elves will take the game, in my opinion. In my opinion. Oh, look at the health damage on that poor Bastillodon with Solar Engine. Oh, and the Slann. Oh, the humanity. It's going to come down to this little Saurus Scar veteran fighting on his Velociraptor. Fighting admirably, mind you. But I do not think it will be enough. Look at the ammo on those Dark Shards over there. Oof. Oof, and the Balance of Power starting to go, yeah, maybe the Dark Elves got this. Maybe we should not underestimate them so much. The Slann and the Bastillodon are about to break, and once they go, this game is over. And it looks like Ice Power, Total War, will have some legs in this competition. It will go to 1-1. Ice Power does not get to sleep today. Ice Power must play video games with his friends. The ultimate punishment for a Dark Elf player. Malekith getting okay value, but mostly just being a bullet sponge all game. And one of those Dark Shards got 1,500. Another one got 800. Another one got 1,200. So well played to the Dark Shards. Cold One Knights doing well. Good for them. And the Reaper Bolt Throwers also doing quite well. Slann Mage of High Magic getting 2,000 value pretty much just off of Malekith. Chameleon Skinks doing fine, but mostly got rode down and murdered. Spear Riders doing okay, but not paying for themselves. And one Bastillodon doing great. The other one doing I got message. That was not okay from Jay Phoenix. I think Jay Phoenix might have some opinions on this match, opinions on this game, opinions on my life, but I will press forward. Last map. Norska. Norse versus Skaven. Ice Power is favored here, but as I mentioned before, when this matchup was, I believe, Salty... Was it Salty versus Jay? No, Jay had Beasts and Beasts. Must have been Houseplant versus Ice Power. Yeah, it was. Houseplant versus Ice Power. This is the most winnable of the 3 Rush factions against Skaven. And Schwarzhofen is a nice open map, so Unlike Houseplant, that Warp Lightning Cannon, if it exists, will not be shooting a hill for most of the game. Aw, my life is fine. Yay. I will reply with a heart. Boom. I'm just channeling a certain person because he's asleep. That's fair. Doing the service to the Eastern European region that is not awake at all when I am trying to stream things. Uh-oh. We lost ice. What happened to the ice? Why did you hurt him? Skaven are okay into Beastmen. I just think they're also okay into Norska. Alright, we will wait for ice to return as I will remember. We will see. Alright. I know Ice Power was streaming about now. So I feel like someone on his stream would have popped in here if he truly did just quit and go to bed. But we'll see. Ice Power is offline. He's still online on Discord. You okay? Okay, so we will try to track down one of our finalists. Ice Power's internet cut out. I see. Will it... 1 second, folks. Just trying to figure out if Ice Power will be around. Or should we do this another time? Oh, I see Ice Power on the Steam thing. So hopefully... Oops, not Valkanos. Valkanos does not get a free ticket into the finals. Alright, trying to get Ice back in for game 3 of our final. And we had a game 3 between Salty and Jay. So out of our 3 best of 3s, 2 of them went the distance, which is nice. Beastmen and No? It's Beastmen and Norska, I think. Or do you mean Skaven Mirrors? Oh. You're talking to Jay, you're not talking to me. Oops. Norse and Scave maps set. This is it, and the winner today will get 25 schmeckles. And that, I mean dollars, but I just said it dumb because I'm a fool. And they will also get a win towards the wins on my Discord if the first person to win 5 tournaments on my Discord gets $50. That's just a way to encourage participation, even though some of the tournaments have cash prizes and some are just for fun. Also, participating in the speedruns can get you up towards those wins, and Anticity's at 3 wins, so if he wins one of these speedruns, he will be at 4. So, if you're trying to beat Anticity, you might want to hop into those speedruns, try to beat him, since out of the 3 categories, he can only possibly win 1, and the other person that could win it could be you. And also, Butcherbird, why would you talk to me? I don't know. Because you hate yourself? Just imagine Grace. Imagine Grace for a second, all right? She has to live with me. She has to wake up and say hello to me in the morning. When I come home from work, she just has to say, ah, shit, he's home. Like, just take a moment and think about how terrible it is for her. And if you think it's terrible for her, donate $999 to my, shit, what's that thing? What's the thing that supports creators? OnlyFans. Yes, OnlyFans. Submit $999 to my OnlyFans. I will make sure at least $10 of it goes to Miss Rat and or Grace. You don't pity Grace enough, Butcherbird. Trust me. Trust me. Her life sucks. What am I looking at here? What's going on? This is a lot. This is a big pile of rats. Okay, clan rats, Skaven slaves, clan rats, Skaven slaves, a lot of them, scattered all throughout. We have 3, count them, 3 poison wind globes, 2 Skaven slave slingers, 1 poison dog with no other poison dogs. Very interesting, will probably just be a sweeper for skin wolves. It gets zap zap in the middle, plague priest on his bell for the mortis engine, pit fighters of Hell's Deep, and Tretch motherfucking Craventail. Game 3 versus Ice Power. Let's go. We get the Craventail. We get the Meme Lord. We get the shitter. It's perfect. It's lovely. There's an assassin. It's great. Patreon? No, I meant OnlyFans. I wouldn't marry you either, human boy. Not my type. Fair. That is a fair thing. I wouldn't marry me either. All right, what do we have? Norskin Warhounds. Everything's moving around. I'm scared. There's 3 Norskin Warhounds. It looks like none of them are the ice variant. We have 3 Skin Wolves at least. I don't see any more. So 3 Skin Wolves, Mist Stalkers, Wolfric on a Mammoth, a Shaman Sorcerer of Fire with Burning Head and Fireball, some Berserkers, and some Marauders. We did see this build earlier versus House Plant. There are no Rattling Guns to punish Wolfric on top of his Mammoth. This will be interesting. Also, there is a fucking Tretch Craventail in this game. Look at him. Look at his ugly face being in my game. Look at you, you goddamn disappointment. Your mother never loved you, and neither did I. This is your lord now. This is the real lord. Throwing it with Tretch. Alright, Salty even admitting. If Ice loses, I will never let him forget. Oh, God. Yeah. That's the thing about Tretch, alright? If you lose... Tretch... This is his power pick. This is his good matchup. All right, hear me out. It's not his stats. It's not his abilities. It's not the worst ability in the fucking game. Where is it? Does he even have Stay Here, I'll Get Help? No, he cut it. Good, because it's terrible. But it's that if you pick Tretch and lose, you can go, haha, I lost because I picked Tretch. And if you beat the other guy with Tretch, even though Tretch got 0 gold value, you can flex on him. You can flex on those kids. And Ice Power is in a terrible situation now because if he doesn't win this game, sure, he loses 25 bucks, but he loses so much more than that because of this little piece of shit. Odd for the champion of Queek Headtaker to be calling out another alert for being bad. Hey, Queek's good. He's good in a different way, right? He's alternative good. You've heard of alternative facts. Now there's alternative good. Hey, Logic, why did none of you British people sleep? What's going on? I'm worried about your people's health. Anyway, Logic's in the chat, everybody. If for some reason you don't know about his channel, though I'm sure you do if you have ended up here, he hosts a lot of very fun tournaments. I believe he hosted Battlemania today. And Battlemania is a very competitive, very fun tournament type where you score points based on how far in the tournament you got. Lovely man. Check out his channel, Logic_EU. Back to the game at hand. Ikit Zap Zap has lost one of its models to a deadly fireball, but it has traded back with gusto on that Shaman Sorcerer of Fire and is going to hit him again for some very nice damage. Wolfric taking a ton of poison wind fire, but that doesn't matter worth a darn because he is a single entity. First Seafang going a little wide as some dogs are getting right into the cookie jar here, and they're going to get on top of these Skaven Slave Slingers and deal with them quite quickly. Over here, the frontline fight is collapsing for the Skaven, and the Poison Wind Globes are soon to be compromised, but Salty does pull them back quite quickly. All right, these Poison Wind Globes are fighting against the Miststalkers and some Marauders, but they might want to focus on these Marauders right here, though it is a tough choice between all that is going on. And these Poison Wind Globes firing down the middle right away. Now, the problem for the Skaven is one that I mentioned in my Skaven army video, and it looks right now Saltier Than You had only 1 line of defense and too much to defend within it. So now that that front line is collapsing on too many sides, he has 1 summon to try and bail out the situation, but you can only summon like either on this front, or on this front. You can't summon on all of them. Now over here, the Skaven are winning, but slowly I believe that this will not go well for them. And the Norskins have dedicated most of their forces on the right side. So Wolfric is slamming straight through these Skaven Slave Slingers. And Stormvermin with Sword and Shield, where did they come from? Were they in this build this whole time and I skipped over them because I thought they were clan rats? That seems the most likely situation. Poison Wind is slowly grinding down these skin wolves, and my chat's popping off, but I will not look at it. I am not used to having people actually typing to me, and I will ignore it like a professional. Balance of power is relatively even, but I think the Norskins are in a very big point of power at the moment, because a lot of the balance of power is in the ammunition on these currently compromised weapons teams. So the game thinks that if they fire all of that, they'll count for that much balance of power, but I don't think they will get that chance. Wulfric turning around, he's getting right on top of this assassin, but a rival hide talisman will take his melee attack to a big old 0. Big old 0, and still somehow Wulfric is absolutely bodying this little assassin with 0 melee attack. Very interesting. Tretch Craventail over here, he has 7 kills, which is 6 more than I would have attributed to him, as some skin wolves are actually getting quite low. Now, for once in his life, Tretch is in his element. He has anti-large and now no armor piercing, so these skin wolves with their 15 armor will be doing quite poorly. Jay is typing something to me in the top corner, and I will ignore it. I will ignore it because I am a good caster. All right, Poison Wind back online, shooting at some Marauders. Poison Wind somewhere else, still running there. These Escaping Slave Slings are back online. They want to shoot those Berserkers, but they're also busy running for their lives. Wulfric still has half health, and after Ikit Zap Zap has been shut down and all these things have been shut down, that half health is actually going to be quite hard to get rid of. Poison Wind going into these dogs is going to shatter off those dogs pretty quickly, but these Skin Wolves will not run so easily. And those dogs actually critically held on for just long enough to distract some of the Wolf Rats with poison and give them a little leadership debuff while Wulfric runs his laggy ass over here, as we have had a little bit of lag in the final game, but it's been fine for most of the tournament, so whatever. Poison Wind firing at point blank range to try to take care of these Berserkers, but these Berserkers are having the time of their life, chopping those little Skaven to bits. More Marauder Berserkers fighting the Plague Priest. They are not having the time of their life. They fucking hate that. These Skin Wolves are going to chase down these Poison Wind. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Over here, these Wolf Rats are going to be chased off by some Skin Wolves. Actually, where's the end of the map? Yeah, they'll get chased off easily enough. And Wulfric just needs to avoid the Assassin and Tretch for a while till the late game. Now, Saltier Than You has done very well getting all of his Poison Wind back online, even when compromised, always finding a way to get him to throw one more volley after the next. So this one is surrounded by Norskin troops, but technically still fine, technically still fighting, and will keep throwing into these Marauders, trying to break them off. It's like one of those zombie survival games. You're playing like a tower defense, but you're running out of room. Over here, Wulfric is getting on top of the Ikit Zap Zap crew before they can get back to their cannons, but Tretch Craventail is on his ass, and that is not a man you want to fight. Look at the fierce Craventail with his 94 melee defense and nothing else going for him. Go, you stupid bastard, go. Skin Wolves chasing off some Clan Rats, maybe not worth their time. They probably want to come back and support Wulfric. And the Mist Stalkers are coming out of the literal mist. Hello, friends. Where have you been all game? We need you. All right. Logic in the chat hyping up some people. I'll read it after this game, but there's a lot going on, and the balance of power is dead even with us coming into the late game. That is certainly a great way to end a great best of 3. The Mist Stalkers are on top of Tretch Craventail, and he is already breaking. And is that an Assassin's Trophy? That is an Assassin's Trophy on top of Wulfric. I thought for a moment it was on top of Tretch, but that made no sense. A Warp Lightning Cannon Shot is frozen inside of Wulfric's body before it disintegrates and is taken care of. Marauders fighting up desperately against summoned Clan Rats. They have to be summoned. There's no way there's Clan Rats this late in the game that aren't hurt. Indeed, summoned Clan Rats just trying to defend Ikit Zap Zap so we can get a few more shots off on Wulfric. Wulfric turns around and starts dealing with the Assassin. The Mist Stalkers are running off into the distance. And now they're turning towards the Plague Priest. They are going to be good against that Plague Priest as a Sea Fang comes in to try to take care of some of these Storm Vermin, Sword and Shield. The Assassin breaks and shatters. Clearly he has been having a tough fight and he is done with it. Ikit Zap Zap shooting Wulfric in the butt. And this is a banger. Absolutely super close. Skin Wolves coming back from routing off both those Poison Winds. I think they're just going to abandon the Poison Wind and hope that they can't waddle their little Skaven hides back in this fight by the time it'll matter. Miststalkers are on top of Ikit Zap Zap, desperately trying to stop it from shooting Wulfric anymore. Wulfric needs his abilities. He needs his stand or die leadership majigger. But Wulfric, yep, fight or die. Wulfric did manage to get fight or die off critically for the leadership, as his leadership is now exceptionally low as he has wandered in front of Tretch Craventail, so he is getting shot from behind by that little pointy stick man. The Plague Priest is right in front of him and getting a leadership debuff with that plague. Saltier Than You saying GG's, but this is not over yet, my friend, as those Skin Wolves are very low in health and their leadership is not particularly great. These Mist Stalkers are barely hanging on, and Wulfric is charging into Poison Wind Globes, taking a decent amount of damage, but any damage at this point is good damage. Some Norskin hounds running in here, but they're going to rout off very quickly. The problem is wow, those Miststalkers and Skinwolves really took down the Plague Priest all of a sudden. Now his Mortis Engine effect will still be affecting them, but as they're monstrous infantry, they have very low models, and it doesn't matter as much. Tretch has the Hunter of Champions on a -40 melee defense, bringing him down to a pathetic 30. No, they're bringing down the mighty Tretch Craventail, but can he keep fighting? Is there even any Skaven support left? There are some Clan Rats, and there are... Oh no, those are Storm Vermin, Sword and Shield. How did they get this far out? They were chasing some Skinwolves off the map, but they are so far from Tretch, and there are a lot of this balance of power. And now it's Tretch versus the world, and he is trying his best. Little Tretch on foot fighting, but there are so many monsters, and Wulfric just comes in here. But he pops a Verminous Valor to keep fighting. This is the most heroic I've ever seen. Poor little Tretch Craventail as he gets terror-outed. And with that, I think that is going to be the game. But very, very well played by both players. That was entertaining. That was a banger. That slapped. What was Jay saying to me? Quick crash the game so Tretch can win by technicality. It's what he'd want. True. Big true. Tretch is routing off. Wulfric is fighting, and army losses hasn't quite hit these Storm Vermin, but man, they're going to feel it. They're going to feel that burn, and they leave with a technically full leadership bar. Very, very nice. Wulfric getting 2,300 value. Their mage got shot right away, and that was a big problem for Norska. One Berserker doing well, other Berserkers not doing so great. Some Skinwolves. Woo! One Skinwolf doing very well. Miststalker's doing quite well for himself. Tretch Craventail getting 1,500 value. Very good for him. Excellently well played. Good lord. Best boy. Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats didn't do jack shit. Storm Vermin did okay, but not amazing. Skaven Slave Slingers paid for themselves, as is their birthright. Poison Wind Globes paid for themselves, which is good. Poison Rats did fine. Ikid Zapsat did great. Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep did okay. I'm tired. That was a lot. That slapped. Thanks for playing, lads. Good night, Ice. I'll PayPal you in morning. Oh, Ice left. No money. Okay, what's going on in this chat? This chat's been popping. Hello, everyone. After you, Jay Phoenix. You're asking why you two aren't going to sleep. Logic and Jay just cannot sleep. Dowie Mortis will affect people? Dowie don't have a Mortis engine. You're lying to me. You're full of shenanigans. Oh, and then Logic's pumping up the likes. Let's go. Thanks for that, buddy. And then there's a bunch of Tretch cheering. All right. So, that's the stream, ladies and gentlemen. We had a great tournament. Ice Power Total War will be our winner for the night. I'll pull up the start screen just so everybody can see. It was spooky time. Morrsleib was full. We had a nice challenge tournament where people picked their factions blind, so we didn't get the same old matchups. It was a banger. It slapped. I love you all, and I am also going to go to bed. Peace.